Hello everybody, Jeff Cowan here from The Jeff Cowan. Thank you for listening to my very first Service Advisor, Service Management, Service Auto Industry podcast. I'm so excited about this, I couldn't be more excited if I tried. Now, I'm glad that you're listening. I want you to listen. This is going to be broadcast every Thursday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Every Thursday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. So I want you to tune in and watch it or listen to it. Notice I said watch or listen to it. Why did I say that? Because you can do both. Now, if you're listening to this right now, audio, and you say, man, I wouldn't mind seeing the video version of this, so where do I get it from? Well, what you do is you just go to thejeffcowan.com, thejeffcowan.com, thejeffcowan.com. Go to the contact page and give us your email address, and we will email this to you every Thursday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time, and you can watch it. Now, if you're watching this on video and you say, I would like to get the audio version, how do I do that? Well, that's easy. You just go to Apple like you do for all other podcasts, and you look up Jeff Cowan, Jeffcowan, and you can listen to it there. So you can do it both ways. It's really easy to do every Thursday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time. So why do you want to listen to this? Because if you're in the automotive service industry, I've got the answers for you on how to be the absolute best you can be. And most of what you're going to hear on this podcast over the next several weeks, months, and years is going to be based on that book right there, How to Write Service and Write Your Own Paycheck, the secrets to making up to and beyond $100,000 a year doing what you're doing. Okay, so that's what this can be based on. And I'm going to show you, and in doing this, I'm going to show you how to be literally the most successful service advisor you can be. Now, most of the time we're talking about success, so we're going to start with the basics here. And you may or may not know this, but I have another podcast that's broadcast on Tuesdays, and I did my first one there. And so if you listen to that and you're listening to this, these are going to sound very similar because we have to draw a baseline, but I can guarantee you that the more of these I do, the more they're going to go like this, because this one's going to be based on the automotive industry and being a service advisor, and based on that book right there, How to Write Service and Write Your Own Paycheck, a book, by the way, you can find on Amazon.com. And you can also get a video version of it. We can test you and the like. We have both student fee structures and we have business fee structures if you want to do that. Anybody that's in this business or wants to be in this business would benefit from reading that book. So most of it's going to be based on that. But again, getting this first one going, we have to define some things. And the first thing I want to define is what defines a successful service advisor, and many times people define it the wrong way. Now let's talk about some of the basics. To be a successful service advisor, and if you're working at a place like in a dealership or some of the larger chains like Firestone, Goodyear, Pep Boys, and places like that, you're going to have surveys. You're going to have survey scores, and so a successful service advisor will have near perfect, if not perfect, survey scores. They will be in the top 7% in the nation with those survey scores. That's somebody that's successful. But at the same time, they also have well over 85% customer retention. That's the sign of a successful service advisor. You have to have both of those. And a third thing is the measurement would be your income. And the reason we measure it through income is because income is going to tell us exactly how good it is, how good you are at delivering the product to the general population out there, meaning that people bring in their vehicles, you're able to get them what they need. Now, but let's focus on that third one there, the income, because a lot of times people beat themselves up because they're not one of the 15 or 20% of the people making six figures writing service. So let's talk about some numbers here first and draw some more baselines. Let me give you some numbers here. First of all, when it comes to hours per repair order, all right, the national average, including oil changes, is 1.3 hours, just over 1.3 hours per repair order. Now, let me tell you something about that number. It's really low. All right, I've never stepped on a service drive, car dealership, or otherwise, Firestone, Goodyear, Independence, that can't produce at least 2.5 hours per repair order or higher. All right, but 1.3 is the national average, and we'll get into that over the next weeks, why that's so low, and most of it's the fault of manufacturers and people that have never written service. When it comes to income, what's the average service advisor make? Well, the average service advisor in the United States of America today makes $65,000 a year. Now, that's nothing to shake your head at because that's a lot of money. As a matter of fact, at $65,000 a year, that means you're automatically in the top 15% of income earners in the United States of America. At $65,000 a year, let me tell you what that's going to do for people watching this, so to think about getting into this profession, this career. It's a great career. Let me just talk to you about what that kind of money will buy. On average, depending on where you live, $65,000 a year puts you in the top 15%, like we already discussed, of income earners in the United States of America. With that type of income, depending on where you live again, you should be able to get a 2,300 square foot house, that's sitting on 1.3 acres of land. You'll be able to park a car in the driveway that's worth about $40,000. And if you're married and your spouse works outside the home, you can add another 1,000 square foot to that house, a second vehicle, and you'll get 2 weeks paid vacation on average, sometimes more, and you'll have a benefit package that rivals some of the biggest industries out there. That's what the average service advisor doesn't have, the type of lifestyle they have. But there's people out there that make $100,000. So let's talk about the money. Is the money the end-all to end-all? Well, first of all, I don't believe that everybody that writes service wants to make $100,000 a year or above. Now, why would I say that? Because who wouldn't want to make $100,000 a year or above? Well, I think most people. And what am I basing it on? Because you live in the United States of America, and people are out there right now making over $100,000 a year writing service. So it's not a question of if it can happen or not. The question is, are you willing to do what it takes to make the $100,000 a year in service? But we have to back into this number because there are some communities out there, there's some situations where $100,000 may not be everything you want. So let's back into this number. How do we determine how much money we want to make, and then we determine whether or not we're maximizing the opportunity? So let's take a look at that. There's 6 steps, and before I get into those 6 steps, I have to talk to you about my sponsor. I've got a sponsor that signed on with us called Lightspeed VT, Lightspeed VT, and you want to contact these people. Here's why. Because if you're watching this, this means that you're an individual that wants to be the absolute best you can be, and what Lightspeed VT has is a training platform that has all of the world-class trainers on it. I mean, you can call them up at 702-369-4260, 702-369-4260. Tell them that the Jeff Cowan told you to call. They're going to do something special for you. And they can hook you up with Tony Robbins training, Zig Ziglar, Tom Hopkins, Brian Tracy, John Maxwell, Grant Cardone, Dave Anderson. My training's on there, and literally thousands of other trainers with all types of disciplines, thought processes, leadership, motivation, and the like. If you're a business owner and you want to get your people trained and supply them with training, you can also call Lightspeed VT. They will show you how to set up a platform with your branding on it, so it looks like it's all yours. You can put your own training on it, plus these other people. Call Lightspeed VT if you're serious about training, 702-369-4260. Tell them the Jeff Cowan called because you're going to get a special deal. So let's back in to the amount of money that you want to make on a service drive. All right, so how do you decide that? Well, there's 6 steps. Here we go. First, you have to decide what type of lifestyle you want. All right? I mean, and when we're talking about that, you need to be very definite about this. This is important that you do this, because what I find is that people too many times, they go from job to job and they start making more money, and then they look for ways to spend the extra money they make. They didn't know what they were going to do with it when they made it. They knew they wanted more money, but they didn't know what they were going to do with it until they got it. Well, you're doing it backwards. What you need to decide first is what type of lifestyle do you want? And so in doing that, you have to decide what type of house you want to live in. What type of, do you want a house in the country? Do you want one in the city? How big do you want it to be? What amenities do you want it to have? What type of vehicles do you want to drive? What type of vacation do you want to take? I mean, are you the type of person that's happy being at home doing handyman stuff on your vacations and relaxing that way, or going fishing, or at the local pond? Or are you the type of person that wants to take the entire family down to Disneyland for 2 weeks, 14 days, or Disney World, and walk around down there? Okay, and then obviously I'm not doing this in order of importance, but you have to think about your kids. What type of schools do you want them in? What type of education do you want them to have? Do you want them to be involved in outside activities like Little League and sporting and choir and all these different things? Because that stuff definitely takes money. So decide what type of lifestyle that you want to have. And then step number 2, you have to determine what type of income it will take to have that type of lifestyle. All right, now when you're doing this, I want you to dream big, for crying out loud. You live in the United States of America, you might live in Canada, and I tell you, dream big. Don't let people tell you your dreams are too small, because, nothing's off the charts here when it comes to writing service, because writing service, if you want to do it for the next 30 years, 40 years, and retire from that, I've got many friends that have done that, have great lifestyles, had great houses, great marriages, great kids, great vacations, the whole thing, and they were happy as could be. But I've also seen other people start out with writing service and springboarded in to making themselves multi-billionaires, and in one case, multi-millionaires, and in one case, a billionaire. So, I mean, it can be a springboard to whatever you want. So dream big, but right now let's focus on being a service advisor. So what type of lifestyle do you want? Step 1. Number 2, what type of income will it take to support that type of lifestyle? Then number 3, what type of drive do you need to be on to make that type of income? And I'm going to share something with you right here. Probably the drive you're on. All right, whether you're at an independent, whether you're at a chain store, like I said, Midas, Big O Tires, Firestone, Goodyear, Pep Boys, those type of places, or you're at a car dealership with many different brands there, you're probably on a drive that will support that type of lifestyle. And if you got a great big lifestyle, like you want a $20 million house in Beverly Hills, then you're probably on a drive that will springboard you to that. Okay, if that's what you want. If you don't want it, there's no big deal. All right, but so on a drive, and I'm going to tell you, most of you people are. There's a few cases where you may not be, but most people are. All right, now number 4. Okay, so we have step number 1, decide what you want. Number 2, what type of income. Number 3, are you the right type of drive? And we discovered you probably are. But number 4, what type of skill will you need to develop to make sure that this happens? And so, I mean, let's take a look at it this way. You know, because I get asked all the time, Jeff, well, how can I tell if there is more to make on my service drive? Well, that's easy. If you're not the number 1 person on your service drive making the maximum amount of money, making the most amount of money, then you're leaving money on the table because, you know, if you go into the average service drive today, there's 4 service advisors. You typically have one that's making about $100,000. You have a second one that's making $80,000. You'll have another 2 that are hovering right around $65,000. And so it's real simple. What do we know about a service drive that's set up that way? Well, it'll pay $100,000 a year. If you're one of the people making $65,000, then what's the next question? The next question is, what are you not doing that those people are doing that are making that kind of money, and how can you develop that same skill within yourself? Okay, so what type of skills? I mean, and I'm going to tell you right now, you can't sit behind a desk when you're riding service and wave people over to it and make the big bucks. It just won't happen. You might be able to make $65,000 because there's so many service drives out there that very mistakenly overpay lazy people who won't get off their butts and get out in front of that desk and walk around cars and memorize word tracks and that. So you might be able to make $65,000 a year, but when you get to those higher figures, that 75, 80, 90, 100,000, you're going to be out in front of that desk, you're going to be walking around cars. And here's the thing, maybe you know somebody that is making 90,000 and they're sitting behind the desk. That's okay, great. But now the question is, how much more could they make if they got off their asses out in front of that desk, over at that car, greeted that customer, and did the things it takes to need to do to be successful, like walk around cars and memorize word tracks and say the right things and learn how to close and all that stuff. So that's always the question, okay? Because in my mind, here's the thing. I never had a problem doing this job. You know, if you're going to be there if it's 10 hours, it's 10 hours. It's 11 or it's 12 hours. Who cares? I mean, that's what it is. But if you're going to be there and somebody's making more than you, why wouldn't you maximize it? Why wouldn't you maximize the opportunity? I mean, if you're on a drive that'll pay $90,000, $100,000 a year, only making 60, why would you not put in the extra effort and make the extra 100 and make the extra? I mean, maximize the opportunity. You know, and I'll bring that up from time to time in meetings. People say, "Well, I'm happy making what I'm making." Well, you're an idiot. I mean, come on. Why would do me a favor? Even if you don't need the extra money for the lifestyle you have right now, make the extra money, maximize the opportunity, because by doing so, you secure yourself in a job. You'll never be unemployed again. And you can take the extra money that you don't need right now, put it in the bank, and have one hell of a retirement. You can invest in all kinds of other things. Maybe even make yourself independently wealthy. If you're going to be there, let's maximize the opportunity. And then number 5, because remember, number 1, decide what lifestyle you want. Number 2, what type of income will it take to do that? Number 3, what type of drive do you need to be on to generate that income? And you're probably already on it. Number 4, what type of skill do you need to have? And then number 5, are you willing to pay the price? Now, this is what separates the men and women from the boys and the girls. Are you willing to go home and maybe miss a Monday night football game with the friends because you need to memorize some new word tracks? Are you willing to show up a half hour early every day before the doors open up? Yes, I said a half hour early, meaning most of you got to get there between 6 and 6:30 to get everything in order so when they open up the doors, you're ready to go. Are you willing to work a Saturday or Sunday and do nothing for a couple hours to role play the new word tracks and test out the new closes? Are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing to work, you know, instead of 10 hours initially a day, are you willing to put in 11, 12, 13, or 14 hours a day? Because initially you will have to do that to build your client base. Are you willing to pay the price to have what it takes? And let me just say this, if you're not, step off the drive and give the chair to somebody who is. All right, I'm sick of these lazy people on these drives. And number 6, are you already in a drive that will pay that? And here's what I'm going to tell you, most are. Most are on a drive that's going to pay the type of money that you need to make. Now, whether that's 50,000, 60, 70, 80, and let's just say for an instance here that you're at the top of the game, you're at the top of the board, you're making, you know, $100,000 a year. Okay, you're making $100,000 a year. Well, you need to ask yourself, let's say that the lifestyle that you want requires $125,000 a year. Is the drive, are you maxed out because you're not the top guy? I don't know, but here's how to tell. Are you doing everything you can be? I mean, every time a customer comes in or you're out in front of the desk, every time are you greeting them the right way? Every time are you asking the diagnostic questions the right way? Every time are you reassuring the customer that they're in the right place? Every time are you walking around the car? Every time are you setting them up? Are you managing their expectations and taking control? Every time when you point things out, are you professionally presenting it and getting them set up for the car going to the shop? Every time are you doing follow-up calls? Every time are you closing properly on the phone? Every time are you delivering the car? Every time, every time, every time, every time, every time, every time. Not some of the times, not when it feels good, not when you want to do it, but every single time. Because if you go to every single time making $100,000 a year now, you might be able to squeeze another 15 to 20,000 out of a drive that's doing that. So I want you to work on that. I want you to work on that list. I want you to make those decisions, decide what type of lifestyle you want, what type of income. Are you on the drive that you need to be on? You probably are. What type of skills do you need to develop? Are you willing to pay the price to develop those skills? And what can you do if you're already number one to maximize the opportunity? I want you to work on that because next week we're going to take that and I'm going to show you how to be the absolute best service advisor there is today. Nobody's going to beat you. You're going to maximize the opportunity because if you're going to be there for 10 hours a day, why not make the most that you can make? And if you're not making the most on your drive, like I've already said, that means you're leaving money on the table. We're going to get you to the top. And once we get you to the top, we're going to take you even above that and show you how to make more. We're going to show you how to maximize the opportunity. My name is Jeff Cowan from The Jeff Cowan. Got this great book here, How to Write Service and Write Your Own Paycheck. Look it up on Amazon. Buy it. It's only $7. Come on, invest in yourself or invest in the training program that comes with the video one. We got special fees for students. We got special fees for businesses. If you want to be the absolute best you can be, you're watching the right podcast. You're listening to the right guy. My name is Jeff Cowan, and I want from The Jeff Cowan, I want you to do me a favor. Between now and next week, I want you to make it the absolute best week you can because I can guarantee you this, I'm going to, and I'm going to love every minute of it. See ya.